Welcome back. Good to see you back for the wrap-up of the day. Hope you enjoy your sessions and had insightful discussions, finding good ideas for your own initiatives and open route for collaboration. So we are within those 30 minutes. We're here to, sharing a bit, some insights, highlights of the day. And for this, I will start sharing a few insights in view of the sessions I could attend, and also invite some of our partners to join me as well for sharing their insight and highlight of the day. So on my end, I'd like to share 3 points. First point overall is that definitely the speakers I heard definitely confirmed that the crisis was an opportunity to accelerate the collaboration between corporate social investors and their company, their affiliated company. In this session that I moderated, when and how to set up a corporate social investors, actually, typically we discussed when is it a good time for a foundation to set up an impact fund. And in the case, that was the case for Philips Foundation, one of the panelists, and the other panelist was IKEA Social Entrepreneurship. And typically the collaboration between this impact investment vehicle, in the case of IKEA Social Entrepreneurship, the collaboration is already well advanced, but she can feel that the business is taking on more and more societal innovation that her team is developing. So and why? Very interesting. They clearly said that actually an impact investing fund is a hybrid animal, combining impact and business. And it's a great opportunity to align on a common vision between a company and a foundation, building a bridge between impact and business to solve societal issues. So that was very interesting. And I just attended a session in the open space. And Human Safety Net, the foundation of Generali, confirms that the plan to really move on this impact investing fund inside the organization is moving probably faster than before the crisis. So that was really interesting. Quickly, a second insight. In the discussion, I could hear that we won't tell enough that those corporate social investors have a unique beauties, being in capacity to take risks, they are bold, long-term vision, they have the scaling capacity when collaborating with a company. And it was very clear that the transformational power of an impact investing vehicle was stronger than a foundation who can only support the investees with grants. So definitely having an extra financial tool in the toolbox is a very powerful tool. Not only to support the investee. Not only to support the investee, sorry about that, but also to trigger, to accelerate this the collaboration and cross-fertilizing the good ideas between the corporate social investor and the company. So definitely that type of initiative is contributing very positively to the purpose-led transformation journey of the business. Those corporate social investors are golden nudge inside the corporate organization. And just an anecdote, but very interesting. In France, 75% of listed companies define a raison d'être, further to the law that what was voted last year. And the raison d'être is actually a business purpose. So I don't want to spoil the topic of tomorrow. This is going to be one of the topics tackled by our keynote, Gilles Vermont-Desroches, Vice President for Sustainability at Schneider Electric, but it's very much along those lines. Last but not least, very quickly, the role of social entrepreneur. I was really amazed when I heard Asa, who is in the lead of IKEA Social Entrepreneurship. She's convinced, she has a vision. She thinks that those social entrepreneurs, they are so change makers that they will become mainstream in a few years. And why? Because there will be no business without impact. So that really struck me, and I found it amazingly optimistic, and I'm a stronger believer into that. I can agree more. So thank you for hearing me, and I will hand the floor to one of our dear partners, Trafigura Foundation. So Vincent Faber is with us. Vincent is the executive director of the foundation. And I also want to take the opportunity to thank Trafigura Foundation for supporting EVPA corporate initiative for the recent years now. And a pleasure to have you with us. Vincent, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sophie. And thank you also for sharing your insights with us. I don't think I will be as sophisticated as you are, because it's really hot from the kitchen, that I will share my main takeaways of the conversations I have been attending this morning and this afternoon. First, my first takeaway is that nothing replaces a real conference, to be honest. It's a good palliative to have this online system and virtual and Zoom meetings, but nothing replaces the interactions that we can have as human beings. So I hope that next year the COVID, and I'm sure it will be over, and that there will be no other pandemic, so that we can indeed really meet. And when I mean really, it means in real. This being said, I was also very happy to see that we were quite a number. I think we were close to 100 people connected this morning, which I think is also another mark of success of this Sea Summit edition, albeit virtual. It still attracts a lot of people, and that's, I find, fantastic, especially given the purpose of this Sea Summit, which is to share experiences, to learn from peers, to exchange ideas and so forth. So I'm very happy about this. More substantially now, in terms of insights and takeaways. I attended this morning Pim Moll's Rabobank Foundation session workshop, which I find very interesting and actually quite an eye opener, in the sense that it was very interesting to see that continuum in the different instruments that Rabobank has established, from the foundation, very close to the field, very bottom of the pyramid, up to, let's say, the other side of the continuum, where it's the very formal economy served by the formal banking system of Rabobank. And as you climb the ladder from this bottom of the pyramid to, let's say, the higher end of the pyramid, there were a number of instruments. And I did find this way of setting up a continuum, even from an institutional and structural standpoint, quite fascinating and quite interesting. The one thing that, of course, the one thing that I see behind this is it's. I don't want to sound negative, but it's of course easy, because the foundation as well as the bank share the same business to some extent. It's about access to finances. It's about banking. So it certainly simplifies the process and the connection between the foundation and the social investors with the company. The Trafigura Foundation, for those who do not know, Trafigura is a major commodity trader, and I can assure you that the foundation is not at all about trading. We do not trade commodities, so it makes things a little bit more complicated. Having said this, it's good to have this continuum, but again raises the question of increased blurriness between the different scopes and the different agendas. So for me, the main takeaway today, and I think it's still on the table and will remain on the table for quite some time and beyond this conference as well, and most of you in EVPA know exactly what it's all about. I would articulate it on around three main words: clarity, lucidity and clear-sightedness, and ethics to some extent. Clarity, because we have to be sure that there is no confusion in our respective agenda. One is commercial, one serves a business, the other one serves communities, beneficiaries with a clear purpose, social purpose. I was very happy to hear about, indeed, I will pick up the same word as you, Sophie, cross-fertilization. Of course, we have to work together and find the best way to address together with our respective strengths the social issues that we're trying to tackle, but we have to be very lucid and clear-sighted in terms of what are our drivers, what is our fundamental purpose, and we shouldn't fall in some kind of, it's fantastic, we're all fighting the same war, and we're all for a better and fairer world. We have to be clear that, we have to be, our drivers is, what are our drivers? And there's no right and wrong drivers, but we have to be faithful to those drivers and make sure that we take the wrong route to reach those drivers. And working together, yes, but working together while respecting our identities and not being naive, because the philanthropic part of the social part is often the weak one. And last thing is about ethics. So it's being clear. You mentioned the word raison d'être. I had written it this morning, Sophie, because I think we have to be clear what our raison d'être are as a corporate social investor. Of course, I'm very leftish here. I'm not talking politics, but I'm really a foundation. I'm not an impact investor. I'm not a hybrid vehicle. I'm very much about philanthropy, really taken in the first sense of the word. So we have to be clear about our raison d'être. We have to have our actions clearly in line with our intentions and what we are here for. And we have to be absolutely transparent in what we do, how we do it, with whom we do it. So these are my, in a nutshell, a little bit more than a nutshell, my main takeaways and insights for this session, for this first day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vincent. Very inspiring, very inspiring. Now I'd like to invite Hanna. Hanna Staehle is a senior manager of Dafne, and I really want to thank you, Hanna, because I had the pleasure to work with Hanna in the past months for the preparation of the C Summit, and we had a good time. We also had some challenging times, organizing such a big event is not an easy piece, but thank you so much for our collaboration, Hanna, and over to you.
Sophie, thank you so much for this wonderful, elegant introduction. It is also my pleasure to be working with you together on the C Summit, and thank you to Vincent also for being frank and honest. I think it's important being frank about the conference. Of course, it would be much nicer to be in a physical setting and to have a human interaction and connections. But we do whatever we can to still have a platform for exchange, even in today's challenging times. And also, Vincent, thank you for sharing your insights. I think you're absolutely right about the necessity to have clarity and to have a clear purpose. And a purpose is what is driving companies and also foundations. I really enjoyed the first day of the C Summit, and for me it's clear that social issues are so complicated and so difficult. It's really not enough that a company or a foundation is investing resources. We see that social issues have really deep roots, and that is why collaboration is essential and it is relevant for different sectors to come together to talk about this. And then this has become throughout the C Summit today, throughout different sessions we had. At the beginning with our wonderful keynotes, Valérie from Sanofi Espoir Foundation and Antonio from Repsol Foundation, who set the scene for the C Summit. Valérie by saying that, well, of course, the crisis had a huge impact on their operations. And she was sharing the number that, well, actually 80% is, as for the healthcare system, 80% is not about health at all. It is not about the care. It is about the access to education. It is about access to electricity, to water. It is about the place of women in societies, etc., etc. You can continue. So you can see that social challenges are so deep and so difficult to tackle, and the roots are really deep, and one has to foster collaboration to talk about this. And Antonio was clear that it is relevant not just to talk about issues, but also to do things. He said it is the time for doers, and the name of the game is execution. Exactly. So we have to enter the field, and we have to foster collaboration. A very inspiring session with Kirsten Ottens from ING Foundation, where she shared the experience in the Netherlands of ING Foundation working with the ING Bank and a number of actors. Quite an interesting experience and very inspiring story about collaboration with the local authorities, with the municipalities, with the bank, with volunteers. Quite a challenging path, and Kirsten was not shying away and was sharing the challenges of this collaboration. The project is about providing financial support to people who have debts, issues, and interesting was that Kirsten said that for many people it becomes only at a very late stage, it becomes clear that they have actually financial problems and financial issues. And with this project, the ING Foundation and the bank are providing the support to local communities and people who are facing these issues. And what was interesting in that conversation is, well, first of all, the different sectors coming together, but also the road to come to a stage where you can also initiate preventive measures. So not just talk about situations where people already face challenges, but also trying to prevent these challenges, trying to prevent people needing to have debt. This is very striking, but of course, a lot of challenges on the way and a clear need for enlightened leadership because we need companies and we need foundations who step up, who inspire collaboration, who try that, and who highlight the value and the impact of this. Another session I've attended, which was also very inspiring, is on circular economy. Again, a number of cases from the Netherlands. A very striking number, only 5% is being recycled today. So a lot of challenges and a lot of things to be tackled, but also great potential. Brigitte from Goldschmidt Foundation was clear that, well, today we are in a situation where we are borrowing from the next generation. So if we want to have a sustainable future, we have to act now, and circular economy is one of the ways. And Chantal from the Punk was clear about even with small successes, it's really important to highlight those, to offer the stage for such success stories, to talk about this, to highlight the impact that business and philanthropy can have on social issues. And to conclude, I would like to say that, well, belief in this crisis times, and it's not just the COVID-19 crisis, it's also a sustainability crisis, climate crisis. We have a lot of disruption connected to technology. The conference we have right now is a clear demonstration of that, coming to terms with digital technology. But we can use this crisis, we can use this disruptive moment to really facilitate collaboration, to facilitate innovation in our respective sectors, and a lot of things are happening, and it was very inspiring to hear the different stories today. Thank you.
Thank you, Hanna. Thank you very much for this comprehensive scenery of highlight of the day. And now we have a very special guest. I have the pleasure to welcome Steven, that a lot of you know. Steven is very special to EVPA. He was the former CEO of EVPA, and he's now the chair of the board. And Steven is the founder of the Corporate Initiative and is our ambassador now. So, Steven, the floor is yours to share your insights and highlights. Very, very pleased to see you today with us.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sophie. And although I changed roles, I enjoyed it as much as ever. And I like it to see all those corporate social investors coming together, discussing all those topics and moving the space forward. And if I hear and listen to all of you thinking tomorrow, today, a new era of collaboration, I think fits very well, as was said in the beginning, in a much bigger movement. We're all talking about collaboration. Antonio this morning also stressed the issue of scale. But we also see that our space of corporate social investors and corporations are walking the same journey, and they're also exploring what this means for this space. And what I did when I was listening to you, I just made some notes. And without too much comments, I'd like to read what some of you have been saying, and I liked it a lot. On the positive side, where people were discussing this alignment or this collaboration or coming together, someone said CSIs are like Trojan horses. CSIs, they can nudge and they can influence the company in its journey towards purpose from within. I thought that was a nice picture, how they position the CSI within this bigger business context. Someone else said, CSIs can provide early, pre-market, non-competitive insights in order to make the company future-proof. And when that person said future-proof, it clearly meant the triple bottom line. So beyond the pure commercial issue, also the bigger purpose context. And a third person said, in fact, CSIs are part of an extended value chain. An extended value chain reaching out to vulnerable populations, people in need, where the company does not can or does not want to go. So this idea of extended value chain, I think, was also a very nice picture. Then there were a couple of interesting observations. And one of the most striking ones, in fact, is we're setting up all those structures, a foundation, an accelerator, an impact accelerator, an impact fund, a social business. But we also have to make sure that we don't end up in silos. So there were some discussions how to make sure that they are also aligned amongst the different corporate social investors. And the finding which I found striking is that for sure they could be from a legal point of view, from a tax point of view, they could all be incubated as separate organizations. But we've seen examples, not only Rabo, but also others that start to manage those different vehicles from one point of view, one point of managerial perspective. And I found this very strong, because then you have those literally these different tools in your toolbox, but from a holistic perspective, you start to manage it as one. And another observation is very clear that CSIs can do what they want, but they're also part of this bigger business context. And the maturity of the journey of the corporation towards a more sustainable, purpose-driven environment is quite critical for what kind of alignment you're looking for. And so the further you explore this alignment, the more you need a favorable context of your business in pursuing genuinely this sustainability agenda. And to finish off, Sophie, two observations, words of caution as well, a bit along the lines of what Vincent said. There is, of course, always the danger to trade your impact objective for the corporate commercial's interest. And I think we have to investigate a bit deeper how our different members, how the different actors, you all on the call, how you manage this independency, how you keep your credibility, how you make sure there is no harm to the reputation, and how in the end you also manage your governance. Funding dependency is of course an element that comes into play, and we've seen a couple of models where for sure you get some money from the company somehow, somewhere, whether it's dividends, whether it's part of your gross margin. But there seems to be also mechanisms where this dependency becomes less short-term and much more long-term, where the money you get is based on a 5-year horizon or even longer. And that kind of independency, I think we also have to kind of explore a bit deeper. And the last element, as a word of caution, is that although we are a bunch of enthusiastic people and we see everything moving, and I strongly believe this is moving. If I entered the space, or when I entered the space 4 or 5 years ago, we were with just a couple of people, like the prophets in the desert. Now we're not discussing anymore the why, but rather the how, which is a sense for me that we're moving on. But said so, we don't have to underestimate, and someone was very clear about it, that we should not underestimate how slow the mental shift of people on both sides, and I always kind of compare it as Mars and Venus, but people on the CSI side and people on the corporate side, how that mental shift should shift as well and should change in language and in mutual understanding, because that's a precondition to start collaborating. That was a bit my learnings, and thanks very much for everyone to join again. A very inspirational day.
Thank you very much, Steven. Always so inspiring listening to you. And just echoing what you just said, I think that this more and more holistic approach of management, those different corporate social investments, being more and more integrated into the corporate organization. I think that I think that the SDGs, this common grammar shared by the corporate leaders, executive. This is also a good thread and food for thought for us at EVPA, maybe to make sure that the corporate social investors track their initiative so that they really contribute as one voice to the achievement on the specific SDGs that a corporate is selecting, is targeting, is willing to achieve. So food for thought. But that this is in a way an extra way to give consistency and accelerate this traction inside a corporate organization. Looking at a common ambition and target, achieving those SDGs. All right, so it's almost time to say goodbye. So I hope you really enjoy your day. You can stay on the platform if you wish. You can enjoy the networking lounge, just clicking on the icon networking. And you can also walk around this expo. The expo are our partners' corners with a lot of interesting materials, namely short videos who will tell you more about their initiatives. It was a it was a pleasure to be with you all this day, and I look forward to talk to you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Thank you.